All right, if you saw the previous intro video, I'm going through essentially a getting started notebook for chatsnack. And as we saw in the previous video, there's all sorts of things you can do. We went through a loop, allowing us to have a conversation with the bot with only a handful of lines of Python. And from there, we could change it to a GPT-4. And then we were going to move on to some serious snacking. Some of this kind of goes into using the chat object a little more aggressively. By default, you have access to, when you create a chat object for chatsnack, you can use .system to set the priming message or the system role message for the chat to get the AI to doing what you would like it to do. And then you use .user to also provide some of the information, and then .ask to actually send it. In this case, we told the bot, hey, respond only with the word popsicle from now on. I ask it what its name is, and of course it tells me popsicle because I told it that's all it could say. Getting to a little more advanced syntax here, you can chain these a bit. So you can say, hey, we've got a chat we're going to start. Let's set the system message to, again, to only respond with the word popsicle. We're going to pass it a user message that says, what is your name? And then we're going to send a chat with another user message, essentially, that says, and do you even like popsicles? And it responded with just popsicle. I guess that's what it's told to do. Ask it, is it an AI? And okay, yeah, it's popsicle. Every chat object can actually be called like a function. Basically, it can be resolved. And when you do that, you can just pass it a string that will be used as a user message. So instead of having to do a .user or whatever, you literally just, whatever your chat object is, if you want to continue the conversation, you just send another message by calling the chat instance if you want. I like to use .chat. But this kind of chaining also allows cool things like this, where essentially you can take the new chat and you will call it with what is your occupation? And that basically is going to send a question to the AI saying, what is your occupation? And then we're not looking at the response at all in this case. My follow-on question is, what is your favorite color? And then my follow-on question to that is it this expensive to spam OpenAI with? And the final question is, what is your favorite food? Which makes actually a little more sense. And in the end, its response to the final question, and probably all the questions, is popsicle. Chaining is useless in this case. This is just me being annoying. But it's more useful in a case like this, right? Where you want chain of thought prompting, where you want to set the stage. And in this case, we're using a feature that I'm not really explaining very well here, which is when you create a chat object for the first time, the message you give it to start with is the system message. In this case, we're basically creating a new chat. We're telling it, hey, this chat object responds with the certainty and creativity of a professional writer. And then we're immediately sending a chat, telling it to explain 3 rules to writing a clever poem that amazes your friends, and then ignoring the response because that response is really there to help prime it, use chain of thought to encourage it to use those rules to write a great poem, right? So it's going to encourage it to talk out loud, do some pre-writing about the topic, and then we really only care about this most recent one. And it generate a poem that I hope might amaze my friends, I'm not sure. In a kernel, a world of wonder lies, a snack that never fails to tantalize. With heat and oil it bursts to life, a symphony of sound, a popping strife. Definitely good, not the world's best, but pretty good. And I was able to leverage this kind of chain thinking via 2 calls to do a better job in theory. And there's a lot of tasks it does better if it talks about it before it continues. Let's show a little bit of the inner workings. If we look at that original popsicle chat we had earlier, we look at the JSON for it. And as I was showing you before in the OpenAI documentation, you can see that its messages are all in this format. It's a little verbose in JSON where it's like role, user, content, hello. That can get long. If you ever wanted to view a chat in that format, you can view it like this, right? So we can take that popsicle chat and expand it into this role content form. And you can see that every question I asked, it was doing as I told and responding with popsicle. In chatsnack, we like Yummy YAML a little better because it's a little more human readable. It's a little easier to edit and it's great for templates, right? So instead of having to navigate quotes and everything, you're literally just, hey, we got a system message, we got a user message, we got an assistant, etc. And then you can update the text. So this is great for saving as a template, which if you had a default chat with only one message, it would be a much simpler thing. On disk, it would only be this one message and you can do a whole lot with just the YAML itself. And we'll demonstrate that real quick. I'm going to save that to disk. I could do it in the editor if I wanted, but via Python, I'm going to open that file and I'm going to add in a user message in YAML format just to show you that it can add it to that. And then I load that chat again from disk and ask it, and it tells me what is its name, pretzels. For actually any real world application, you don't want to be going and changing hard-coded strings in your code all the time. It's nicer to have pre-written chat templates in YAML format that's easier to read, easier to scan, easier to update, and treat as text rather than hard coding it in your code. And I much prefer that myself. And it also could be more useful for localization if you want. It also allows you to swap out prompts and try different forms by just switching the files you're using. Anytime you give a chat a name, in this case, I'm giving it the name Snack Addict, and I choose to save it. It stores it in the data files chatsnack directory on disk. And then whenever I need that chat prompt again later, I don't have to specify a path or anything. Even across runs, if I have a template I like, I'll just instantiate a new one with that same name, and it will have that chat prompt from before loaded up, and it works. And it's writing out snack emojis, and he does sound hungry. Yeah. Now that we know how to save chats, let me show you about texts. We have what we call snack fillings in chatsnack, and one of those types of fillings is the text type. And this is pretty handy. All it really is a .txt file, a text file. And this one is just for larger documents or more concise pieces of strings that you want to be able to reuse inside of your chat prompts. In this case, we're going to use text object to make a text file called snack explosion. And we're going to save it to disk. It has this content. And now anytime we generate a text object with that name, it will have that content. We print the content, and I'll even show you. Let me open snackexplosion.txt, and you'll see that the text file is just a text file. Boring, simple. Hey, you just made a text file. Great. Now, what's great is when you give it a name and you save it to disk, you can set up chat objects that actually use those and does auto expansion. So if you're going to fill up your snack with fillings, then this tasty filling right here, text snacks explosion, will automatically expand to use the contents of that text file. It'll automatically, every time you run this, it'll automatically use that. You could even nest deeper, right? We had that previous text file, snack explosion, which I opened a minute ago. Now we're making a new one called snack explosions 2. And if you'll notice, it references the original text document, but not only are they supposed to respond with, I think that was explosions of snack emojis and happy faces, but we also wanted to end every response with 3 popcorn emojis. And then we're going to create a chat that uses this new one, which is going to recursively call the original one. And they'll expand, right? So this just shows how you can nest these and they'll automatically expand. And as you can see, it worked great. It automatically put popcorn there as well. When we print the YAML of the actual chat we're worried about, it's just this with the reference to the text. So this is pretty straightforward, no rocket science here. And another thing that's straightforward are nested chats, probably more so when we're talking about the include form. The include method really just, if you already have a chat YAML file that already exists and it's named, then you can include it by name in your chat and it'll automatically pull that in and inject it just raw, just like a pound include in something like in C++ or something like that. If you look at the JSON in this case, without expanding the include, you'll see our current chat that we just made just has an include reference to this other one. And if we expand it though, it'll automatically show that we were asking it to respond only with the word carrot sticks from now on. And then if we use that object to ask another question, the future requests wouldn't have the include. They would just continue with whatever it expanded to. This isn't super handy, but it's there for completeness. This is where we get into the real power. This is where you get into deep chaining and nested chats that allow you to actually call multiple times into ChatGPT to help it chat with itself. So in this case, we're going to make 2 chats. We have one called 5 snack names and one called snack dunk. And what we're doing with those, we're saving them to disk. What they do is they basically say, hey, respond to provide 5 random snacks. And the second one is, hey, give us 3 dips. What we'll do with our primary chat, the one we're actually wanting to work on, the full chat, is we're going to tell it to choose one snack from a list, and we're going to give it this format of chat.5 snack names, and then choose one dunking liquid from this list, and we're going to give it snack dunk. And what these will do is right before we send this to ChatGPT, it's going to expand all of these other chats in parallel. So let's say there were 7 of them in here. It's going to go expand them in parallel to inject them into this chat. So you can have these separate chats that do different things, and they can be used to create a larger chat that uses all of them to do something different. So in this case, we're choosing one snack from those first 5 random snacks. We're choosing some dunking liquid, and then getting it to recommend the best single combo of those in this chat. You can see that before the snack fillings, this is what the YAML looks like. It looks like it's just got format text keyword managers here. We've got the fillings here. We've got chat fillings for 5 snack names and snack dunk. And then afterwards, it will have expanded. It called ChatGPT one time to get this 5 list. And then it also called it in parallel to get these 3. And then from there, it continued a new chat where we asked it to recommend the best single snack. And here it tells us that it would be apple slices with almond butter and a sprinkle of cinnamon paired with the fruit smoothie. I mean, maybe not the best idea, but it did use these chats to fill out this chat so that it can help us talk to ChatGPT the way we want. We also support simple keyword replacement rather than just text and chats. Like, if you've got a list of arguments you pass in, this is really useful in the case where you want to build functions around this. And there's probably a whole new video I could do on just this feature. But in this example, I'm basically taking a chat and I'm setting it up. Normally, you'd probably just save this as YAML on disk. And then you have a function right here. I'm literally just saying, hey, is healthy snack, right? Basically, all I do is I ask the chat and I pass in a snack name equals snack, and it'll automatically expand that before sending the ChatGPT, which allows me to have custom prompts. And in this case, I've basically built an is healthy snack function that just, as well as ChatGPT understands it, tells me, is an apple healthy? True? Yes, it is. Is candy healthy? Nope, false. And so now in my code, whenever I want to, I could just call is healthy snack, and it would do the work for me. And similarly, this is an example of a case where you want to come back in a very specific format. And this one, I want to be sure it uses this calories format in exactly this form. I set the temperature to 0. I give it an example of what I'm looking for in a one-shot example. And then I pass in the snack name and even start to have the calories prefixed here to encourage it to complete that format. And as you can see, it did in this case. I just have a function that get calories for this list, and now it has done this. So there's a lot more that you could do, but I want to kind of at least empower you to leverage ChatSnack to really make ChatGPT a default feature of your app and build it into everything you do in Python. Thanks so much.